Right now, you might have a protein shake sitting next to you, or a chicken breast in the fridge you're planning to grill. Maybe you've already done the math on your macros for the day. You are statistically more worried about protein than almost any human who has ever lived. So here's a question. The people we got this body from, the hunters, the foragers, the ones who lived for hundreds of thousands of years, with no gym, no label, no scoop, how much protein did they actually eat in a day? Were they crushing it? Were they starving? And is the number going to make you feel better about your life, or a lot worse? Let's find out. And I promise you, the answer is stranger than a lot of meat. Let's start with the number everybody expects. The picture in your head is probably a caveman tearing into a mammoth leg. Meat, meat, and more meat. And for some groups in some seasons, that's not far off. Our best window into this is a group called the Hadza, who live in northern Tanzania and still hunt and gather much the way humans did for most of our history. Anthropologists have followed them for decades, weighing what comes back to camp day after day. And when you add it all up, one long-running estimate puts the meat brought into a Hadza camp at around 2/3 of a kilogram per person per day. Call it 1.5 pounds of wild game. On paper, that's a gym influencer's dream. But here's the first crack in the picture. That's an average. And an average is a liar, because the Hadza did not eat a steady 1.5 pounds of meat every single day. Some days, they ate almost none at all. So if the meat wasn't showing up on schedule, what were they actually doing? Because a body still needs to eat when the hunt comes back empty. And the hunt came back empty a lot. This is the part the mammoth leg fantasy leaves out. Hunting big animals is thrilling, and it is deeply unreliable. Among the Kung of the Kalahari, one classic study found that a hunter's odds of actually making a kill on a given outing were only about 1 in 4. 3 days out of 4, the exciting high-protein plan produced nothing but a long walk and sore feet. So ancient eating wasn't a steady drip of protein. It was feast or famine. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And then a kill, and suddenly the whole camp is gorging on more meat in one night than you'd eat in a week. Your ancestors weren't grazing on 40 grams every 3 hours like a bodybuilder with a meal prep container. They were built to eat enormous amounts when food appeared, and then ride out the gaps, which sounds kind of great, honestly. Binge on ribs, then relax for 3 days. Sign me up. Except there was a ceiling, a hard, biological, unforgiving ceiling on how much of that meat could actually keep you alive. And crossing it could kill you with a full stomach. This is where the story turns, and it turns dark. In the early 1900s, an Arctic explorer named Vilhjalmur Stefansson lived for years among the Inuit, and he documented something that sounds impossible. People eating meat all day, plenty of it, and slowly wasting away, weak, sick, miserable, and hungry no matter how much they ate. He had a name for it, borrowed from the hunters themselves, rabbit starvation. Here's the horror of it. Your body cannot run on protein alone. When protein climbs past somewhere around 1/3 of your calories, the exact ceiling is debated, but it's roughly there. Your liver can't keep up. Turning all that protein into usable energy floods your system with ammonia and urea faster than you can clear it. So you get nauseous, you get weak, you get relentless diarrhea. You feel starving while you're eating. And if nothing changes, it kills you. The condition got its name from lean game like rabbit, which is almost pure protein with barely any fat. And this is the twist that flips the entire question. For most of human history, the danger wasn't too little protein. In lean times, the danger was too much. A starving person handed nothing but rabbit could eat and still die. The meat wasn't the prize. The meat on its own was a slow-motion trap. So if protein wasn't the thing keeping them alive, what was? Fat. The whole time, it was fat. To an ancient hunter, a scrawny animal was a disappointment, and a fat one was treasure. When they made a kill, the parts we throw away were the parts they fought over. The brain, the marrow inside the bones, the organs, the fat around the kidneys and the gut. These were the good bits, and they were the good bits for a reason your body still agrees with. Fat is dense, safe energy that lets you actually use the protein without poisoning yourself. This is why the Inuit could eat a genuinely staggering amount of animal protein. Some estimates run past 250 grams a day, which would wreck most of us, and thrive on it. It wasn't the protein carrying them, it was all the fat that came bolted to it, plus organ meats packed with the vitamins that lean muscle doesn't have. They weren't protein hunters. They were fat hunters who happened to get protein along for the ride. But there's still a hole in this. Fat and meat get you through a good hunt. They don't explain the days, the many, many days, when nobody killed anything. So what filled the gap? And who was actually feeding the camp, not the hunters? The answer is the people nobody put in the cave paintings. Among the Hadza, it's the women, going out in groups nearly every single day, who bring back the reliable food, the tubers, the roots, the fruit, while the men chase the dramatic, unreliable kill. Add it all up across a year, and, for many of these groups, well over half the calories come from plants, not from hunting at all. In some tropical groups, meat is a minority of the diet by a wide margin. And then there's honey. Among the Hadza, honey and the bee larvae in it can supply something like a fifth of their yearly energy. Your Stone Age ancestors were, in a very real sense, running on sugar and roots as much as on meat. The steady background of the diet, the thing that was actually there day to day, was plants. The meat was the highlight reel, the vegetables were the whole rest of the film. So the honest picture of ancient protein isn't a caveman with a mammoth leg. It's a mixed plate. A big variable slug of meat when the hunt hit, a lot of plants and honey when it didn't, and fat prized above all of it. Which finally lets us answer the question you came here for. So, how much protein in a day? The most careful reconstructions land on protein making up somewhere around a fifth to a third of their calories, depending on the group and the season. In real grams, on a decent day, that's often in the ballpark of 100 grams or more. Sometimes well above that after a good kill, sometimes almost nothing after a bad week. The single most accurate word for it isn't high or low. It's wildly inconsistent. Now hold that up against you. The average American man today eats roughly 90 to 100 grams of protein a day. Steady. Every day. Rain or shine, kill or no kill. You, scrolling on your couch, are quietly hitting numbers a Stone Age hunter could only reach on his best days. And you're doing it without walking 20 miles or nearly dying of ammonia poisoning. Which is the part that really gets me. We spend a fortune chasing protein. Powders, bars, chicken by the pound, water with protein added to it. Which is a sentence that would have baffled every human being before about 2015. We've turned a nutrient our ancestors sometimes couldn't safely eat enough fat to survive into a thing we're terrified we're not getting enough of. They gorged when they were lucky and starved when they weren't, and the meat could kill them as easily as save them. You just have to remember to actually drink the shake. Somewhere, a Hadza hunter who walked all day and came home with nothing would find that hilarious.